Good afternoon, Steven Special Podcast viewers. My name is Steven, and I have a gentleman here by the name of,
Tanner Elliott.
and welcome to episode number two. Uh, Viewers, I have Mr. Tanner Elliott from Oregon, and Tanner, explain some stuff about you.
Yeah. Well, thank you for having me, Stephen. And it's from Oregon originally, so I just got elected chair of the Young Republicans this past March. And currently, I work in the state capitol as a legislative director for a state senator from the Southern Oregon coast, David Brock Smith.
Mm.
Here in Oregon, is focusing a lot on recruitment, getting people into the Young Republicans of Oregon. We've had really low numbers for the last couple of years, and I came in with a focus of wanting to change that and bring in a new sense of I would say a new style of leadership to attract people, but a new sense like, hey, we're back. Like conservatives are back in Oregon. We are not going to necessarily that young people, there are, the left here makes it seem there's no young conservatives in Oregon. Well, there is. And we're that place where young people can go and have a voice, and we're, doing a lot of outreach, on social media. And we're getting people to sign up that are just now starting to get involved in the political process. So we've, got a person that works in Domino's. Another person that's a janitor. They're tired of seeing what's happening in our state, decided to join a club that gives them a voice to begin to change the governance and have an impact on our state. So I'd say, though, that just focusing on recruitment, fundraising, and then the most important piece is focusing on voter registration in swing districts in Oregon, because by doing that, that's how we get ourselves out of the super minority into the minority and into the majority. So we believe that we're a few election cycles from getting to where we want to be, but it's about putting in that groundwork, um, in getting us to back to the majority in Oregon in the state legislature.
So, yes, coming from Arkansas, I've seen a lot of what's going on in Oregon, and especially too with the No Kings movement that is all over the place at this point. But just seeing Oregon, my sentiment was, yeah, there was no conservative values or conservatism in that state. But I mean, I've seen you lead the charge for just bringing in new people, and that's something that I feel like we just can't give up on for 2026 and 2028. We need everyone on board. And so far as I've seen, Trump has been the most populist president in really my lifetime. He brings everyone from every walk of life. I mean, look at RFK Jr. and Tulsi Gabbard and all them. Going to the Oregon legislator side for a moment, can you tell me anything big happening in the state of Oregon with state legislation or?
Yeah, certainly. So they do have currently a gun bill to ban bump stocks, right now in the state legislature. Um, so that's it's called Senate Bill 243. And then, but I mean, the biggest thing all of this session though is we're due for an infrastructure package. So it's usually every 8 years Oregon revamps and refunds and figures out projects that need to be funded through the Oregon Department of Transportation. Well, the Oregon Department of Transportation has had over $1 billion shortfall on their budget because of a miscalculation on them. No one's been held accountable. Um, and they haven't started about 40% of the projects that they were already supposed to have started years ago. And so, in order to fix the messes that the Oregon Department of Transportation has created because of their inefficiency, they're now asking for us to create $1 billion new dollars worth of revenue through taxes. So Democrats right now in the state legislature are proposing 13 new taxes to create $1 billion in new revenue. And some of those taxes are, they're increasing your DMV fees, so getting a license or a permit. They want to increase the gas tax by 40 cents a gallon. They want to have a bicycle tax in there. They want to have a tax on electric vehicles. Um, that use so they're finding all sorts of ways to raise revenue, but it's a 50% increase. They're going to make you pay double of what you're paying for a current license right now. Uh, and they don't the increases don't happen right away, but they happen as time goes on to get to that point. So, but the 40 cents gas tax will, I mean, it's just to go from, we're at 20 cents right now to, we're at 40 cents total right now, and then they want to double it, on the gas tax alone. Originally they said 20 cents, but now they're saying 40 cents.
Mhm.
And, this money's going to things like, they want to use it for light rail as well. They want to expand. So, it just doesn't really fit with we already live in a state that's increasingly becoming less and less affordable for young people, and that's why young people are leaving Oregon. And instead of cutting spending and holding people accountable, they want to create more jobs, they want to create more taxes, and they want to continue to make our state um, less affordable, and it hurts young people the worst. I mean, these taxes aren't going to impact. Yeah, I'd say senior citizens and young people the worst. They're not going to impact people that are currently. They still will, but not as bad as young people and senior citizens.
Really, I would love to go to Oregon. Portland is one that I think would be a cool city to go to, especially the Portland Trailblazers. Is that right?
Yeah, yeah.
Go to a game like that. But, seeing some of like well, for instance, Portland again, I don't know. It may be just like a good like city to go to for 1 or 2 days and then just, that's pretty much it. But there's a lot of potential that I feel that Oregon can really, they can accomplish a lot just by not taxing the bejesus out of any and all things. For instance, on your Instagram, I saw one thing that caught my attention was the Zen tax. Um, that to me, I was just blown away. I use Zen here and there, and you know, having a tax on Zen, that's just crazy to me. It's really crazy. So I would definitely love to obviously dive more into like Oregon. I mean, um, Oregon's a very interesting state that I would, just
But
love to dive into. But with the young Republicans, what do you feel, in your honest opinion? Um, I know that there's a rebrand or there's two sides, the Restore YRs, and I think it was I can't remember the other party. Um,
grow. So it's restore and grow. Yeah.
okay. So can you tell my viewers a little bit what's going on in that situation?
Yeah. So Peter, I want to say it's Juenta. No offense to Peter if he ever, but he's the chair of New York. I'm still getting his last name down. And then Hayden Paget from Texas are going against each other for the two positions for chair, and then their team, then there's co-chair and vice chair, and then all of these positions. So they have two slates, they're running against each other to lead the Young Republicans nationally for the next 2 years. Our current secretary, Andy Huey, shout out to Andy, is running on team Restore to be their secretary candidate. Um, so it's just, this is there usually is an election every 2 years, but this one's different because of how competitive it actually is. It's probably one of the most competitive. Um, I mean, for probably 6 years was the last time we've had probably a competitive election for the Young Republicans National Federation. It's 6 or 8 years ago, but
Mm.
anyways, from what I've heard. And so this is a very competitive election. So it's kind of it doesn't happen that often where the election is this competitive between, especially when you have an incumbent chair. So we decided that we're going with Team Restore just because we feel like that's the best fit to lead the Young Republicans going into the 2026 midterms. and just the brand that they have and the vision that they have. We just feel like it is more in line with what Oregon wants and with what we think the national image of the Young Republican should be. And so we have decided to endorse Team Restore because of that.
Okay. See, 2026 is going to be one hell of a battle. Um, I still remember 2022 midterms, everybody saying, "Oh yeah, there's going to be a red tidal wave," and I was part of a lot of campaigns in that time period, and I thought so too. I thought it was going to be a red tidal wave. Nope, it wasn't that. So I really do feel that we need everyone on board. Um, doesn't matter what background you came from or anything like that. If we can get people to the Republican Party, the message across to it, I believe Trump will have more, well, really more help through the Senate and the Congress. So, it's going to be a lot of work. So, to my viewers, I said this in the last video, but I am the Republican National Hispanic Assembly South Central Regional Director. And so far, we are growing exponentially. We have great numbers with the Latin community. Um, One piece that I would love to do, that's really my pet project, is to really have all of us go to not just the regular neighborhoods or just, we need to go deep. We need to go to the inner city. I feel like we just need to have that message for everyone because whether we like it or not, those Latin communities are strictly listening to Telemundo, CNN, and the mainstream media that just lie to them nonstop. I mean, for one thing, the LA riots, and that's what they're called. They're just riots. It's not peaceful. It's not anything. It just showed why we won in 2024. That's it. And it blows my mind when people say, "No, it was peaceful. It was this. You're just not understanding." I understand because I have eyes to see what it is. Um, so Tanner, I was going to ask you, man, what can and especially in Oregon, what can we do more to attract young Latino voters?
Well, I certainly think that for me the key word is freedom. Um, the Democratic Party wants to limit what you can say. They want to regulate your speech. They want to regulate if you want to be an entrepreneur. They want to regulate your business uh, so much where it's too controlling. I think, especially with the amount of regulations that we have in Oregon, for example. They want to regulate and tax you to death. They want to tell you whether or not they keep encroaching on that Second Amendment. They always say, "Oh, we're not," but it's always the next gun bill and the next gun bill and the next. They always have the next gun bill to further encroach on our Second Amendment rights. That's what they're doing. So to me, it's about freedom, and freedom is trusting the individual to make their own choices. It's giving you live in communicating the message that our brand's very simple. We want to give you what has made this country so great: individual rights, liberties, your freedom. What the Constitution, our amendments in the Constitution, they grant you, freedom of religion, freedom of speech, freedom, the Second Amendment, freedom to, not to have soldiers stay in your home, freedom to peacefully assemble, all those. I mean, freedom to have the Fifth Amendment. You don't have to say anything, and that's silence isn't incriminating yourself. So, we have all great these principles that have made our country so great. Um, and I think that we clearly right now see a side that's about giving people those individual rights and freedoms. That's, hey, Like, we want government to get off your back. We want you to be able to make the. We don't want the government to take care of you from the cradle to the grave. So for me, my message is freedom. Nobody wants to be a part of a party that's in a constant state of victimhood, and that you have to feel guilty for this or that. It's just. I think we're at a point where people are tired of hearing that, and I think that's why Trump did so well, particularly with Latino men. Freedom wins at the end of the day.
Okay. Well, man, for one thing, freedom is the ultimate goal. We just need to push very hard for that because I cannot stand it for the life of me. 2026, if we lose again, and we keep saying, oh, it's a red tidal wave, then yeah, I cannot stand it. So we need to get everybody on board. Um, I will work night and days if I have to really push that message forward. Let's see here. Well, Tanner, I was going to ask you, man. I saw, I did see a video of you impersonating Donald Trump. Can you give our viewers a little bit of a taste of the impersonation?
Well, it's so nice to be here, Stephen. It's so great to be on your podcast, and it's doing really well. Actually, I've seen the numbers. It's doing quite terrific, actually. And the views are going to go with me on the. I mean, this should help you out, right? So we're going to make our country so great by podcasts like this, and we're going to win in 2026. Thank you.
Thank you. See, that's why you're the best with that. Um, so I will just end it here and to let our viewers know that Tanner is with the Young Republicans of Oregon. If you want to follow him, his handle is
Uh, Elliot for Oregon on Instagram, and so yeah, please, and then the Young Republicans of Oregon, please give them a follow.
there we go. So viewers, get to it, subscribe, and thank you, Tanner, for having this discussion with me.
Yeah,
So
thank you. So, all right,
awesome.
Stephen.
Hey,
All right.
Tanner, thank you so much, man.